Thank you, everyone here at Auburn, for making this happen tonight. Thank you, Jared Linsby, for making this happen, for all the time and effort put into it, all the SAEs who are here, who will be helping to take the pledge, Armando, Roche, Mary Margaret Neal, of course, my husband, Mike, and really all of you for being here tonight. I haven't ever been to Auburn, and when I drove in today, I drove in on your main street, and in front of me was a sign that says, "Jack is here." So I know Jack is here, and I'm really grateful that y'all are here. Gonna try to get through this. Story is more challenging because we're coming up on the 23rd, which is a year that Jack died. Many of you know Jack. We're from Atlanta. Jack went to North Atlanta High School, and he was captain of the football and lacrosse team. He worked out every day. He made straight A's. He was caring. He was happy, full of personality, just so positive, so much going for him. And he would have been a senior at Georgia this year, right now, an SAE there. He was a great friend, son, and brother to Pano, Jamie, Lucas, Anna Kate, and Sophia. And this is all we have left of him. What does that mean? It means no more birthdays, no more holidays, no more UGA games, beach trips, times with his friends, no chance of graduating college, getting married, and being a father one day. The night before Thanksgiving last year, Jack was home. And in Atlanta, everybody goes out the night before Thanksgiving. Jack was home and so excited for Thanksgiving. That was his favorite holiday. They all went out that night. And throughout the night, as I always do, I check my phone to make sure everybody's in and safe, all 6 kids. And I noticed Jack had spent the night out. He was at a friend's house around the corner from us. And the next morning, we were all getting ready for Thanksgiving, and Jack wasn't answering his phone. And so Mike called the parents and asked to go check on Jack. She said, "Oh, they're still sleeping. We just left. The front door's unlocked. We went on a walk, just come on over." And so Mike went over, and a few minutes later, he called me, screaming, "He's gone, he's gone." I rushed over, and Mike had been working on him for 30 minutes. He was already cold. His fingers and lips were blue. The EMT came and worked on him for an hour. And then all of our children came over. And it was the most traumatic, terrifying day of our lives. 2 of Jack's brothers saw him being taken out on the gurney. And we're all suffering and reliving that day. Our lives are changed forever. We found out that Jack took a pill. We searched his laptop. He had gone on Telegram, which is social media, and the drug dealer had set up a shop, which I know is very common. Jack bought drugs and paid the drug dealer Venmo. This guy had a Venmo account with his name and everything, and so we found out who he was. The drug dealer is in jail now, 24 years old, but they did a big drug bust. He had over $500,000 worth of drugs, illegal guns, bulletproof vest, and he was selling in Buckhead. So for now, he is in jail. Saying don't do drugs, I'm not going to sit here and say that. Y'all know that. Jack knew not to do drugs. You know, everybody experiments, and I understand that, and I understand kids are still doing drugs and probably always will. I just want y'all to understand the pain that we as a family and all of Jack's friends have gone through. It's just not worth it. You truly are playing Russian roulette when you go out and have fun and take drugs and experiment. Every 4 minutes, somebody's dying. Every 4 minutes. And I believe it is 8 out of 10 pills have fentanyl in it. The drug dealers are putting fentanyl in all these illicit drugs, a tiny bit to get people hooked. Whether you take a pill, split it in half, one person can die from that, while the other person is okay. Fentanyl is odorless, is tasteless. There are test strips that everybody talks about. They're not 100% effective. You have to crush a pill to test it. It's in all the street drugs, the Percocet, the illicit Percocets, Adderalls, Xanax, cocaine. It's been found in gummies. It's even been found in weed, that it's been dusted. The fentanyl has been dusted in weed from these drug dealers when they have fentanyl around it. So please know about the Good Samaritan law. We've heard from a lot of people who've been out partying and see somebody who has taken fentanyl and just left them, or put them somewhere and left them. You cannot be prosecuted, for calling 911 and helping somebody. If you've been drinking or you have drugs on you, you will not be prosecuted if you call 911 to help somebody who's overdosed. Everybody should have Narcan. If you don't have Narcan, there's a free place you can get Narcan. It's a nasal spray. It's just like Flonase. It's in the fraternity houses. It's on campus. But everybody should have this on them, especially when you go out at parties. Very easy to use. Always call 911. Pinpoint pupils, non-responsiveness, difficulty breathing or heavy, loud breathing are the symptoms of someone who's taken fentanyl. You can't hurt somebody if you use this. I could use this right now and be fine with it. So it's always, everybody needs to have this. This is like a fire extinguisher. Everybody needs to have Narcan on them everywhere they go. It's that bad, and that is happening that rampantly, and it's going to keep happening. As you heard, the scary thing, that xylazine is in the drugs now, and this Narcan won't work. So I beg you to remember Jack, remember this story. I'm sure a lot of y'all know other people who have died. There's going to be more people that are going to die from this. What it does to the families and your parents. Y'all are at an amazing school here and have such a bright future and so much going for you. Really rethink, is it really worth it, that one night to just take that pill just for the heck of it? Please reconsider and think about that. We have to keep talking about this. Y'all look out for each other. It's going to be talked about in Take the Pledge. Please share this information. People just don't know about it. And I'm really honored and humbled to be here tonight. And I hope that I've saved a life for Jack. We're all connected, and y'all just keep doing the next right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here, and thank you for taking this seriously. I'm not some professional speaker or anything like that, so don't expect anything like that. I'm just seeing a lot of death, destruction. Over 34 years as a police officer in East Chicago, gangs and narcotics, with DEA for 20 years, hired in Chicago, worked in Miami undercover, and then went to Peru, South America, where I worked jungle operations, and became a supervisor at Jungle Operations. I lived there 7 years. I finished my career in Atlanta, as she said, as a supervisor in multiple different units. That's so you know who's talking to you, one, but second is to tell you that I have a unique perspective on this thing. At the local level, the regional level, national level, and international level, and global scale. And in 34 years and all of that I've seen, I've never seen anything like this. This is the absolute worst thing I have ever seen in my life. I'll get to it, and it's fentanyl. It's just a frontal attack on you, on us as a country. And I'm going to tell you one more thing here. This is very difficult for us. This is heart-wrenching. We do this, we go out and speak like this, but it just tears pieces out of you because of the death that we see and we've seen. Is this mine? Yeah. All right, I can see it here, right? All right. First of all, every major cartel, every Mexican major cartel has a presence here, right here where we're at. They've all sent cells to operate simply because it's a great area to stockpile drugs and collect money going back to Mexico. And don't make any mistake, 99.9% of the drugs that are coming through the southern border from Mexican drug cartels. Methamphetamine remains the absolute #1 threat and moneymaker for the cartels. It's a business to them. They don't care who dies. They don't care what happens. It is an absolute business. And if they can save a few bucks on a kilo, they'll do it. And guess what they found? They found fentanyl, because fentanyl is cheap to make. They don't have to purchase any other cut. So they're putting fentanyl into every substance that they send up here in order to give them more volume and a punch, make their drugs stronger. Methamphetamine is our #1 threat per the DEA threat assessment in our area of responsibility. Second remains cocaine. Cocaine has a major resurgence in here, and it's because there's a bumper crop of coca in Colombia. They had a great harvesting season. The weather was great. They harvested a lot of coca. They made it into cocaine, obviously, cocaine hydrochloride, and they shipped it up here. So there's a bumper stock of it. We have a stockpile of cocaine in the area. That's why the prices are so low. Low prices, high stockpile, bad. Very bad. We need to see the prices skyrocketing. That means we're intercepting them, we're interdicting them, and we're stopping it at the border. Hopefully that'll start next month. And fentanyl, this is the anomaly. Heroin traditionally has always been the #3 threat to our area. Fentanyl has jumped heroin. Now, fentanyl is the #3 threat. Heroin has dropped down to 4th, and we're seeing very little heroin now. It's because the Mexican drug cartels have replaced heroin. Costs too much to make that over fentanyl that could be made in a lab by 3 idiots. And why are we here tonight? As you see, 18 to 45, it's the leading cause of death for people 18 to 45. However, we've seen toddlers get into a caregiver's stash and die. And we've seen older people, 65, 75, who run out of their prescription. They go to the street to purchase what they thought was a Xanax, whatever it is, and every single pill in the street has fentanyl in it. I had to find a stadium big enough to hold what we believe are going to be the overdose deaths in this country this year. That holds 112,000 people. That's what we expect the death toll to be, 112,000. It's another short video. It's going to explain a little bit about how this happened and how we got here.
Fentanyl is widely used as an anesthetic in hospitals. There's a pain patch. There are even fentanyl lollipops. When it's used in a hospital, you have anesthesiologists who can measure it very perfectly. But on the street, it's almost impossible to measure correctly because just 2 grains of rice worth of fentanyl is enough to kill you. Almost all of the ingredients used to make fentanyl are made in China. The ingredients are called precursors, and they're sent over on giant cargo ships to Mexico. In Mexico, the cartels finish the fentanyl and they ship it over the border into the US. In the 2000s, it started showing up on the streets in the US, but it wasn't really until the last 5 or 6 years that it started causing so many deaths.
Fentanyl is now the deadliest drug in the U.S., according to a new study. Heroin topped the list for the previous 4 years.
Stunning new revelations tonight of the death of music superstar Prince. Authorities revealed today that Prince might not have even been aware he was taking the extremely powerful drug fentanyl that killed him.
It went from basically the DEA was barely aware of it at all to it was killing more people than any drug in American history. Fentanyl is a strange drug because most people don't actually want it. A huge percentage of people dying from fentanyl never even realized they were taking fentanyl in the first place. Fentanyl is used as a cutting agent because it's so cheap. And so drug dealers and distributors use fentanyl to punch up heroin and other drugs because heroin is pretty expensive to grow. You know, you need a field, you need a lot of space, water, and time, whereas fentanyl can be made really cheaply and quickly in a lab. And so there's a strong profit incentive for the Mexican cartels to get out of the heroin business and to get into the fentanyl business. People who have substance abuse disorder might have, been getting by in the streets for years or even decades, but now fentanyl has really changed the whole game, and drugs that they never imagined would have fentanyl before now all of a sudden have fentanyl. Not only is fentanyl being cut into heroin, it's being cut into meth, into coke. The worst part right now is that fentanyl is being cut into fake prescription pills. So I always tell people, any pill, any powder that you buy in the street could have fentanyl in it. In terms of young people who might be taking drugs at a party, I mean, I hate to say it, but it's a bad time to be a young person. Nowadays, all the cocaine, all these pills, they could potentially have fentanyl in them. And so the days of kind of just like indiscriminately taking drugs with your friends are probably over.
It's really Russian roulette on how much they cut, how much they use with each substance. Experimenting used to be possible, not anymore. It's just a one-time event could end your life. I'm just here to give you information so that you're armed with what's really happening in the street. You have to have the internal fortitude and you have to have the guts to step away and not do that. It's up to you. But I'm gonna give you the tools to know what's out there. This is what's happening in the streets. This is a kilo of fentanyl. It's 2.2 pounds, about the size of a brick, and it can kill 500,000 people. 7 of 10 pills in the black market have fentanyl in it. I started this 5 years ago and it was 3 out of 10. We're at 7 out of 10, I think it's low. I think it's 8 or 9 out of 10. I think everything that we submit to the lab has been cut with fentanyl. I'm telling you, it's a Russian roulette. It just depends on who's mixing it. And I'll show you a video on how some people can possibly survive and some don't.
I'm going to show you a sample of a mixture of approximately 1 part of what would be a representation of fentanyl to about 100 parts of a cutting agent. This is a typical mixture that most drug traffickers kind of aim for when they're mixing fentanyl versus cutting agent. For the representation purpose, I'm just going to be using colored sugar, the blue color here, and then just white sugar to represent the cutting compound. So first off, I'm going to put in a small amount of what would represent to be the fentanyl, so about approximately 1 part. I'll put that in a mixing device here, just like a magic bullet. These are common things that are used by drug traffickers all the time. And then I'm going to add in about 100 parts of what would represent a cutting agent. And again, just using sugar here for the purpose of the demo. And we're just going to mix this up. So now if you can see, if you look closely here, there's certain areas like this entire white patch here has virtually none of the blue coloring sugar to represent the fentanyl, but certain areas have higher concentrations, such as this area here. This could be a hot spot. This could all be a deadly area within that compound of an over-concentrated or a highly concentrated area. Certain areas would absolutely be lethal dose.
I wanted to bring your attention to a couple more things. This is tranq. Has anyone heard of tranq? You've heard of tranq? Tranq is xylazine, and it's a large mammal sedative used by vets to put a horse down to do an operation on him while they're cutting dope with xylazine as well as fentanyl, just to get more volume. Xylazine is not an opioid, so Narcan or naloxone won't help you there. It's just CPR. And one more thing that I wanted to talk about, and this is called Tusi. It's something that just came out, and Mexican drug cartels are pushing. It's a club drug. It's like just a cocktail of MDMA, ecstasy, a little bit of meth. It's just everything combined and pressed into pills or in a powder form. And we just started seeing this in clubs and bars and stuff. So you have to be aware of that as well. This is our website, talknowgeorgia.com. There's resources there. If you know somebody with an issue, go there. There's resources, phone numbers, and people that you can talk to. I want to thank everybody for allowing me this time to speak to you.
All right, so taking the pledge. So by wearing the purple bracelet, participants pledge to make others aware of the dangers of fentanyl. And the pledge is 3 parts. 1, to always remember the pain of a life lost to drugs. 2, to confront a friend who needs help. And 3, to save a life. 1 pill can kill, so know how to help. So always remember the pain of a life lost to drugs. On the right, you can see a chart, and the fentanyl death rate has been increasing more and more every year, so that's a trend that's got to stop. Over 112,000 people have died in fentanyl and opioid-related overdoses in 2023, and there's 1 death every 4 1/3 minutes. Sadly, a lot of us know someone who's died from fentanyl, so remember those who have died and help put an end to this epidemic.
You got to confront a friend who needs help. Some signs that your friend may have a drug problem. If you see them taking pills or using drugs, their appearance just isn't the same. If they're more dependent on drugs and they have higher tolerance levels, and they seem like to get withdrawals or be aggravated when they don't have them. When their poor judgment becomes poor and they start taking more risks. When their responsibilities fall to the wayside, their temporary escape has evolved to a permanent problem, and they have strained relationships. Okay. How to talk to someone who you might think have a drug problem. Make sure it's the right place, right time, and show concern and be passionate with them. Listen and have a 2-way conversation, and don't stigmatize. Just try to avoid judging them and be on their level. Respect where they are in their journey, make a list of things good in their life. Be patient and let them know you are there for them when they need you, and encourage them to seek help. And if you're worried about them, talk to your friends and their family.
And then the last part, save a life. Again, one pill can kill, so we need to know how to help. If you've tried to get a friend to stop taking drugs or try to help them out and they just won't, there's always the possibility of an overdose. So some of those signs where you can tell are, first, pinpoint pupils. Just if you look at them, you're talking to them and their pupils are just almost gone, it's not a good sign. If they're falling asleep or losing consciousness, slow, weak, or not breathing, if they're choking or gurgling, a limp body, just if they're cold or clammy, and then if their lips or nails are discolored, that's not a good sign. And it's especially just in general, it's really important. If you see somebody at a party or something like that and they're just passed out, that's usually not a good sign. Even if sometimes it might just be alcohol, but even then people can die from alcohol too. So just be responsible. If you see a guy that is obviously there's something wrong with him, be there, check on him. And that can make a big difference. If you do suspect a fentanyl overdose, call 911 first so they can go ahead and get on the way. If you know CPR, to start CPR, if you find someone who does know, and then administer Narcan. I know this week, it's pretty timely, the university has gone out and put Narcan cabinets in almost every fraternity house. So it's pretty simple. Like she said, it's a nose spray, you give it to them, and it's one dose. And if that doesn't work, you do CPR and you can give them another one. And it cannot hurt them, it will only help. And then just, if you can, try to keep them awake and breathing. Turn the person on their side, because if they do throw up, and sometimes Narcan can make you throw up, you don't want them to throw up on themselves and choke on it. And then just stay with them until the paramedics arrive. Don't just kind of try to help them out and then leave, or freak out and try to go find help. Just be quick, have somebody with them that can watch over them. And finally, we want to ask everybody to take the pledge. If you could take your phone out and scan this QR code. First, as Brian said, it's always remember the pain of a life lost to drugs. Just always keep in your mind, for one, the story about Jack, as well as anyone else you might know or stories you've heard, just to know how serious this really is. Confront a friend who needs help. If you know somebody, I'm sure a lot of us do, that needs help or is, kind of going off the deep end, just don't be scared to confront them. Obviously pick a good time, but just you can only help. And then finally, save a life. One pill can kill, know how to help. So just be aware, kind of look at what's going on around you, be responsible, and if you can, just be there to help anybody that's, might be going through an overdose.